Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mike Newer, aka What Mike Eats. I'm here with JT and John from the Beard Strong podcast. We are heading, and of course, Cashew. We are heading up to Orlando for the Europa Games. Go check out the fitness convention and watch some feats of strength. And while we're in the car, I want to kind of answer some of your guys' questions that you had about strongman training, the strongman lifestyle, and just being really freaking strong. So couldn't think of two better guys to kind of talk about that with.
Yeah, buddy.
How you guys doing today?
Great. Awesome, man. This is what I dreamed of. Road trip.
Yeah.
All right, so you recently qualified for the strongman qualifiers, and tell me about that experience. What was it like?
So I did a show in Miami put on by MDLP Battle Axe Gym called Miami's Baddest. So basically it's a lot like bodybuilding and powerlifting. You have to win or get some sort of place to get an invite to nationals. I got second in an invite to nationals.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Overall, not my best performance, but enough to get in the nationals and really do some damage.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What got you into strongman?
So I've always been interested in strength in general, right? I think when everyone first gets into lifting, it's how much you bench. Over the years, it got into, all right, well, benching isn't really that cool anymore. Let me see
how much do you bench, by the way?
I don't know.
All of it.
How about you, Mr. Banks?
On flat bench, the most I've hit, not much. I want to say maybe like 295.
Okay, that's not bad. Respectable. You're not in the 300 club, but it's respectable.
I gotta be honest, like, bench press for me is the most boring workout. I can't stand it. If it wasn't programmed, I would not do it.
Well, that's because you're a CrossFitter.
You're not wrong.
Oh boy.
It's the cross fatter.
I like to cross fat.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, I wanted the deadlift and like squat because I felt like those things were, the real feats of strength. And then as I, was looking more and more into it, I would remember seeing World's Strongest Man on TV and always be like, oh, let me try that. Finally found a gym that had the equipment, started doing it, and fell in love with it.
I used to love watching those too.
Oh yeah. Kaz Meyer.
Oh man.
I think that's the funniest thing about like with strongman now is it's not hugely popular as in you see it in a gym everywhere, but that sentence is exactly everybody's reaction. Oh man, strongman, I used to watch that on TV all the time.
Yeah.
Love that.
The guys that lift up those boulders.
Right? You're the guy who carries the truck, right?
Yeah. Pulling the planes and
Maybe one day I'll be on that level.
Oh yeah, for sure.
now, strongman is obviously to get that big and that strong. It's a lifestyle.
Sure.
So how much time would you say that you spend per day on strongman related activities, from your training to your food prep to eating? What kind of a time commitment does someone look at to try to get into this type of thing?
Like you said, it's a lifestyle. If you're looking to seriously get into it to compete, it's choosing a way of life. You're going to be eating thousands more calories than you normally would in order to recover, to go into the next day of the gym and lift these heavy objects. So I'd say it's almost like a full-time job. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, constantly thinking about, what meal I'm going to eat next. Like, when can I fit it into my schedule? Recovery's huge because you're lifting these big weights. Your body takes a beating. You got to, take those contrast baths, ice whatever you need the ice, get a deep tissue massage. It's a full-time job. It's definitely a commitment.
Yeah.
If you want to get serious about it, for sure.
It's like, oh yeah, that PR that you hit the other day? Yeah, we're going to go do that today, but for reps.
So what's your food bill looking like?
Way too expensive. Costco and Restaurant Depot love me.
How many calories are you packing down?
So right now, getting into really training for nationals, we're sitting at about 5,000 to 6,000, and that's been working pretty good for me. Looking to possibly up that depending on how I'm feeling after a really intense training cycle that's going to happen.
Now, for reference, guys, about 2,000 calories is the average recommended for an adult. So eat about 3 times what the average person's eating to get this strong. How annoying is traveling? Being this large, because you're taking my Jeep.
Man.
If you guys can, I had to adjust the camera, but the Jeep's kind of sitting like this.
Hey, you said you
I
couldn't
got
sit
these-
on the same side. We're two-wheeling it to Orlando.
Cashew sits where Cashew wants.
I've said this before, I don't like planes. I used to love flying, and then I became kind of grew into this 6'4" frame, and it's been getting real kind of not nice getting in an airplane, like really squishing down to get anywhere. And I'm sure it's not fun for people sitting next to me either.
Unless they like muscle guys.
I'm sorry?
Unless they like big guys.
That's true. Hey, $20 is $20.
What's the coolest thing that you've picked up?
I'd say that I'm like kind of most proud of is definitely a 1,000-pound yoke.
That was the one video we saw.
That was, yeah,
That was awesome.
I would say the coolest
we'll
thing
put the link to that video.
Tacoma.
for sure. The truck deadlift was pretty cool too.
That's badass. When I thought I was really tough when I was in college. Me and one of my fraternity brothers, we lifted up this little Dodge Dart and we rolled it out of the parking spot. We thought we were so badass. This guy's over here deadlifting trucks. Oh man!
You know you've reached a pivotal point in your strength career when you're like, you know, none of these weights are going to work today.
Let's get
Let's
the
just
truck.
pick a vehicle.
Let's get to the parking lot. Oh my goodness! Now, when it comes to something like lifting up a truck, what percentage would you say, or how would you say the breakdown is between the technique versus the raw strength to do it? Where would you place, I know obviously they're both important, but how do they kind of play a role?
So, technique is definitely huge because you don't want to get hurt. Obviously, if you got that explosive power, that trumps everything. If you modify technique, you might be able to squeeze out a couple more reps, but definitely raw strength takes the win in that.
How do you feel about that, Mr. Banks?
Well, I would say that you can't use the explosive power the way it's meant to be without mastering the technique. So I would agree and also disagree at the same time. Because for me, someone who's strong but not as strong as that, I have to rely on the technique part.
Okay.
Because
Makes
everything
sense.
breaks down into a movement, and in order for you to use it the way it needs to be done, I have to compartmentalize everything and then find the times where it's right to be explosive. So it's like load, explode. Where he might be able to explode right away. If you have.
I appreciate you for keeping that giggle to yourself.
You're welcome.
It's like that meme where the guy's face is like he's ready to explode. Like when you're a vegan and you haven't told anyone yet. Now, what was like the biggest challenge that you faced in competition? And how did you either overcome that, or how did that overcome you?
I think the biggest challenge in competition is definitely, for me, my own mental game, if you will. If you get down, being able to be like, nah, screw this, I'm gonna come back, instead of getting down on yourself and letting kind of you beat yourself. I think you can be as strong as you want to be, as explosive as you want to be. You can have all the technique in the world, but if you don't have the right mental game, you're not going to do anything. So for me, being able to kind of stay in that really good mindset of it's okay, I can come back from anything is the biggest challenge.
Being really resilient.
Yes.
I would agree. I think even in all things heavy, in terms of lifting, the mental aspect is huge, because like I'll give you an example. When I hit my personal best on a back squat, it it was like 445 was my biggest number. The previous set, I did 1 rep at 435. And I mean, I fought it. The whole, shaking the whole 9. Because when I loaded that weight, all I was thinking about is, holy crap, this is 30 pounds heavier than I've ever done. What am I going to do with this? So, I'm like, all right, well, I got that up. Let me try 445. I load 445 on, and I just took away the thought process. I got away from thinking about the weight, and I got on to thinking about the movement.
Okay.
And it just, if you get a chance to watch it, it just glides. So the heavier weight ended up being better because I wasn't thinking.
You weren't psyching yourself out.
Exactly.
Like, oh
I wasn't
God,
defeated by the mental part.
You know, when you get into those heavier weights, especially in strongman, and just for your own personal PRs, like, you're either gonna get crushed or crush that weight.
Yep.
And that's the only two things that happen. If you, like John, if you would have picked up that weight and been like, oh, this is heavy, like, I don't know. If there's any doubt in your mind, game over.
Yep.
You know,
No question.
you need to power through that.
Now, what's the relationship like between you guys and the other competitors? Like when I was doing physique competitions, there was kind of some camaraderie, but there was a lot of like kind of trying to psych the other guy out. Arnold talked about this in the pumping iron, where he would tell Lou Ferrigno that he was looking small or something like that. So do you guys kind of like have any like head games you play with each other, or are you guys more like kind of trying to cheer each other on?
You know, in any kind of contest I've done, it's been very brotherhood-like. So everyone's there to suffer, basically. And in that, like, you know, no one else, anyone watching kind of doesn't understand unless they've been through that. Getting crushed by these heavy weights, like carrying a 300-pound keg for distance in a minute and like blacking out and stuff. So it's definitely, when we're actually relaxing for a little bit, you know, it's definitely more of a brotherhood and a lot more camaraderie. But where the second I step onto that platform, onto that stage, like, it doesn't matter. You could be my brother. Like, I'm there to go to war.
I think that's a great statement too, because I would agree. It's definitely a brotherhood, and it's a brotherhood that can come. And it sounds kind of cliche, but it's almost like a military mindset, right?
Sure.
So people in the military who fight in a war, those are my brothers because they fought alongside you. They know what you've been through. And when you get into that weight, when you get into that level of competition, and you're suffering through every step, and someone sees you fighting and suffering the same way, it instantly creates a connection. So when you're there and you're watching, and you'll see guys who just went out and died on a keg carry, literally passed out onto the keg, you know, legs give out, and then they, you know, get up, they stand on the other side, and they take their knee or whatever and catch their breath, and they're at the other end cheering on the next guy. And I think that can only be found in again, a level of suffering that you guys do together.
Yeah. Common bond of
Dying.
psychopaths.
Yeah, exactly.
Sadists. What's something about being a strongman or the strongman lifestyle that the average person may not get or may not know about you guys?
That's rough. Thanks.
Like a big teddy bear on the inside.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's not, you know, there's this look most strongmen have, right? You maybe shaved head, tattoos, and
this illustrious beard.
this awesomeness. And I think John can attest to this. Like, I think that makes us intimidating to approach, where I think anyone that's ever asked me for any sort of advice, like, I'd openly help them. You know, I'm not doing this to scare people. I love doing this, and I genuinely love helping people. And I think most of the people that I've competed with, guys that I haven't competed with, are the same way. You know, we're more teddy bear-ish than we appear.
Yeah, a lot more approachable than, say, like, I've met a lot of bodybuilders in my time, And I would say that conversation with them is a little bit more tense, a little bit more like above you kind of conversation.
It's because of the aesthetics.
Yeah, basically. Which, you know, and again, it's you know, I think one thing that you'll find is in again, you know, I don't compete in strongman, but I personally really dig getting into lifting heavy. And I think what a lot of people wouldn't realize is there's something a little off when you get into those big weights, because you know you are going to get handled by that. You know you're going to suffer, you're going to get killed, and the next day you are looking at whatever the next workout is like, all right,
Let's do
how
it.
are we going to pay for it today?
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. These are the guys from Beard Strong Podcast, JT and John. Check them out. Throw your social medias at them.
Bearded Batman on Instagram, Beard Strong Podcast.
Bearded_Superman. And obviously get us on Beard Strong Podcast and give us a follow on the podcast.
If
Maybe
you're-
give us a listen.
And if you're in
That'd be
South
cool.
Florida and you're trying to get really, really, really strong, maximum effort right here. Holler at your boy. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a healthy day. We're heading up to Orlando to go to the Europa Games and spread some fitness cheer. Have a great one.
Buddy.